Would you like some blue pie? What's up everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel Royal Horror. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, for wanting to spend some time with me talking about horror movies, film in general. And in this case we're going to be talking about a brand new horror film from the one and only A24 company, which I think most of us love. So happy November, happy still celebrations of autumn, because believe it or not, November is still autumn, so the vibes are still there. Although in this channel I celebrate horror and Halloween throughout the whole year, because I don't think it's just a 1 month celebration. Since that's your thing, click the subscribe button below, give a like, share this video, and that would really help me a lot, because I really love talking about films with all of you guys. It's something that makes me feel good, so thank you for being here with me. Now this review is gonna be completely spoiler free. I'm not gonna go into like plot twists or like storylines or anything like that, because I really want this film to be watched, to be seen, to be appreciated, because I think it deserves it. And I think this movie is also, it was the perfect choice for it to be released in November, because this film is like autumny, wintry, so what a better time to kick off this month. I really like it, so let's get into it. Now the structure that I follow for this video is that I will be talking about like my positives and negatives, and also I will be talking about everything overall, like, you know, like acting, storyline, spoiler free of course, and cinematography, all of that. And at the end of the video I will give my final grade and my recommendation if you should watch this at the cinemas or if you just should wait to watch it at home. Now Heretic, as we know, this film is the brand new horror film by A24, and as we know, A24 has been giving us gem after gem after gem. This year they even gave us an amazing, and I think one of my favorites, non-horror of the year, which is Love Lies Bleeding. So yeah, A24 is a company that I really love. Like, my relationship with that company is always positive. I like most of their films. I haven't seen all of them, but most of the films that I've seen, I like them. Like, you know, Hereditary is one of my favorite films of all time. That's my favorite A24. So yeah, every time A24 announces a new film, I'm always excited. Like, I love most of their horror films. So yeah, like when this film got announced and when this film was announced as A24, I was excited for it, and this film really delivered. Now, in case you didn't know, this film was written and directed by two people, by two guys. I believe like that besties or like buddies from university, and they are Brian Wood and Scott Beck. Now these two guys, you might recognize them because previously they directed and they also wrote two films. They did Hunt from 2019, which I absolutely love. I think that's an amazing Halloween film, and I think it deserves more love. I think they did so much with Solitaire in that film, being a one location. I think that film is very creepy, it's very disturbing for me, so I really like that film. And they also did, I believe last year, 65. Now 65 is a film that I personally didn't like. I didn't enjoy it because I feel like the film had a huge concept and the execution was not really the best. I think the movie was very weak. I think the movie didn't really know how to work with the huge concept that it had. So yeah, I didn't really have a good time with 65. So, and they're like the only films they have done. So this is like their third huge film, and they also are gonna be working on the sequel for Hunt, which I believe is gonna come out somehow in 2025 or even 2026. Now the cinematographer for Heretic is actually a huge cinematographer in the film industry, in the horror industry, and he is called Shang Shang-hoon. Now I really hope I pronounced his name correctly. If I didn't, I apologize. But he's the cinematographer of huge horror films. Like, he's been the cinematographer for films such as It, the remake, also of Oldboy, Last Night in Soho, Zombieland Double Tap, the sequel. So that guy is not joking around. Like, his filmography is insane, but he also has worked in huge non-horror films such as Wonka and Uncharted. So huge respect for this guy. Like, I didn't know this until I made this video, but like, Heretic was really in good hands when it comes to the camera. Now, as we know, Heretic from 2024, it follows two young missionaries that are forced to prove their faith when they knock on the wrong door and they are greeted by a diabolical Mr. Reed, becoming trapped in his deadly game of cat and mouse. Now, I feel like that's the best synopsis for this film because it doesn't reveal much, because a lot of things happen in this film, so I'm glad that the synopsis, at least on Letterboxd, is like accurate. Now, Heretic is starting a modern scream queen, which is Sophie Thatcher, and we know her from films such as The Boogeyman from 2023. He also had a little role in Maxine from earlier on this year, and she's also gonna be starting in a new horror coming out next year, which is called Companion. So I'm really glad that she's getting booked, she's been busy, because she is a really good actress, modern actress that we have in the horror genre. This movie is also starting Chloe East. Now, I don't really know much about her filmography or anything like that. I just know that she was part of the Fabelmans from 2021. So yeah, but she was amazing too, and we're gonna talk about their acting later on this video. And finally, the one and only, this movie is starting the British actor Hugh Grant. Now, this actor, what can I say? He is an amazing actor. Like, he is the definition of rom-coms from the 90s and the 2000s. Like, I've seen a lot of his films. I think he's an amazing actor. I think my favorite performance, or like my favorite film of his, is Nothing Hill, because that film was just incredible. I really think that's his best performance for now, even though I love most of his films. So when he got announced to be in a horror film, I was super happy. I was really hyped, because I actually don't think he's been in horror before. I think this might be his first horror. I might be wrong, but after this, I really hope the companies start calling him to be in horror films, because he was amazing in Heretic. Alright, so we're gonna start this review with, let's start with the positives, and then we're gonna get into the negatives and all of that. So I think one of the best things that the movie has going for is obviously the storyline and how it's executed. I think the whole metaphor, the whole relationship between the characters, the storyline and the location worked so well all together, especially because this could have been so complicated. This movie could have been so complicated, and maybe this movie will have struggled to execute this storyline, but they didn't. I think the whole interaction between religious characters, someone that is religious but like is not really a believer, worked really well. I think this movie being a religious horror was amazing. Religious horror is one of my favorite genres, and I think this movie did something completely different. This movie did it in a different way. Like, this movie doesn't have any religious cliches. This movie doesn't have like stupid jump scares when it comes to religious horror or anything like that. Like, this movie also doesn't have like nuns or anything. No, this movie is just in a one location inside a normal house with 3 characters. That's it. And I think that was incredible. Like, the church is not involved, you know, so like this movie was really something fresh for the religious subgenre in horror. And I think another positive aspect that I have to give to this film is the script, because my god, how did these guys wrote the script? It's amazing the way they did it. Like, I know this must have been a really difficult job to write this film, because this film contains a lot of monologues for every character, especially from Hugh Grant, like the villain of this film. He has a lot of monologues, and I think the execution of those were amazing, and it's all thanks to the script. The writing, I think the writing is hella strong. Also, I really liked how the movie has a lot of metaphors and a lot of symbolism when it comes to religion, and I'm glad that Christianity is not the only religion involved, and that's something that we really haven't seen before. Like, I would love to see horror films with other religions. I'm not a religious person at all, but I like seeing religious horror. Don't ask me why, but I enjoy it. And maybe it's because I think that religion is something that can be explored differently in horror, and this movie is the definition of why I think that. So I would love to see more horror films involving different religions to see how they work. I think Heretic knew how to combine all of the religions, and without going crazy, without like suffocating itself, talking about religion 1, religion 2, religion 3. I think this movie, it was just amazing how it combined all of them through metaphors, through the monologues, through the script, through the symbolism, for like the cards or like the board games. Again, like as the synopsis says, this is a cat and mouse film, and that's all thanks to the symbolism through the religion. I hope that makes sense, because obviously I don't want to talk with the spoilers, because if I go deeper I might spoil the film. But just know that this film is a religious horror, but it's something completely different that you haven't seen before. This movie is involved in different religions, and with different characters that think differently about religion. So it's all really well combined. Like this movie, if you're a religious person, I think you will enjoy this film. If you're not a religious person, I think you will enjoy this film too. I think it's for everyone, and you might feel identified with one of the girls, with the main guy, the way they think about religion, and I think that's amazing. Another positive aspect, and I think this is my favorite aspect of this film, is the cinematography, the color grading, the editing, the lighting plan, the sound design, all of those filmmaking aspects, because they worked so well, let me tell you. I think the cinematography was untouchable, it was immaculate, it was really good, especially because this movie uses a lot of like POVs from all of the characters, especially because the characters are mostly sitting in a triangle, so you're always interacting with the two girls and the villain, making a triangle, if that makes sense. And I think that worked perfectly. Like this movie has a lot of like close-up shots inside the house to make you feel uncomfortable or claustrophobic, because that's how the girls are feeling, especially the character portrayed by Sophie. That was really good. Also, I love the way this movie really communicates through the character's eyes, thanks to the camera work. Like this movie has a lot of like close-up shots just to the eyes and the mouth, not even the forehead or the neck, just this area of the face, and that was really uncomfortable, especially watching this on the big screen. You could see through this character's souls, if that makes sense, through the eyes, because you only could see this most of the times when they were having the dialogues with the guy and with the two girls, and I think that was really good. And also the use of location. This movie is mostly a one location film. This movie only uses like 3 locations, like the living room, I think it's like the game room, and something else. And I think those 3 rooms work perfectly as 3 different characters, you know. Like in the first location, which is like the living room of the house, everything feels warmer. The shots are wild shots, because it's like the first time that these girls are meeting this guy, the first time that these girls are in the house, so everything feels welcomey, warmy, autumny, and all of that. But as soon as the movie is progressing, all of those things start to fade away, if that makes sense. So that's why I think the location inside the house work perfectly as other characters. So huge props for like the lighting department, the camera department, the editing, because this movie really worked so well as a filmmaking piece, if that makes sense. And I think it's all thanks to like obviously the direction and just the crew in general. I think you can tell everyone loved working on this film, because there is just a lot of communication with everyone. I think another aspect that I really love was the sound design, because it was just incredible, especially because I watched this on a Dolby Cinema, and trust me when I tell you that I was eating my popcorn normally watching this film, and because of the sound design I really jumped and all of my popcorn went everywhere. I had to clean it afterwards because I didn't expect it, because there is a lot of like sub sounds that you don't hear, but you know they're there and you know they're coming, but you don't really hear them until like they are on your face. And I think that worked perfectly, especially because this, like the house in this film is a wood house in the forest, so a lot of like cracking sounds are happening, so that was really cool. Also the way that the characters behave in this film with the sound design worked so well. For example, you hear when the characters are doing this, like you hear every single movement from the characters, from their bodies, you know, like when the girls are uncomfortable and they're moving their clothes, that sound really gets to you. Or when, for example, the girls are so uncomfortable and like they keep swallowing their speed, you feel everything, and that's all thanks to the sound design and the editing. So huge props for this. And also I do have to say, another thing that I liked about this film when it comes to storyline is that the 2 main girls, I loved how the script makes you believe them as religious people, and also because of the acting, which we're gonna get into. But I loved how this movie like had a social commentary on how some religious people out there are just religious just because they were born there or grew up there, but didn't really have a choice to think about something else or like be outside of the religious aspects of their lives. Like the opening scene, this girl is talking about how she saw a porno on the internet and how like how crazy it was for her, because she did not expect for that to be real and all of that, and it was the first time that she was seeing a naked man and all of that, and somehow she liked it, although she says that she didn't because she feels like it's a sin. And so, but you could tell that she really liked it because of her acting, her laughs. So I really liked that the movie like really had this social commentary on sometimes very religious people out there are that just because they didn't have any other option. And something negative that I have to say right away after this is I wish this was explored more before we got into the house. I really wish that I wish we got to know the characters better before they got into the house. Like I wish we got to know them more as two humans, as outside of their religion and all of that, to make you feel more bad for them, if that makes sense. Another positive aspect that I really loved from this film is the whole interaction between the characters and their acting. I think the acting from everyone was incredible, from the two girls and from the main guy. When it comes to the two girls, the way they did it was incredible. Like, please cast these women in more horror films because they were amazing. Like, I bought them as those two characters. They didn't feel like they were acting. I believe that they were religious. I believe that they were uncomfortable. Especially the character portrayed by Chloe, the way she was laughing and the way that she was like the good sister, let's say, because she was like the most innocent. I really bought it, the way she was like behaving, because she was always smiling, like she was really trusting this guy, and I believe her. But also as things start to go more sinister, the way her face changes was amazing. The way that she feels that she got betrayed by this guy, like that communication was incredible, because it's all thanks to their facial movements, their body movements, and I think Chloe did it fantastic. And also with Sophie, that woman was amazing. Like, she did it amazingly. And also her facial movements, her body movements, all of that was incredible. Especially because she was like the bad sister, the one that didn't really trust this guy from like minute one, the one that wanted to leave ASAP. And her facial movements were amazing. The way she was like doing that was incredible. Like her eyes, her neck, everything was communicating so well. And also, again, as things start to get more like creepier, more sinister, she gets so into that character, and I really bought it, especially because there is one specific scene where both of them are standing up and they're like, "Can we just leave, please?" I'm not an actor, so I don't really know how to give this communication. Like, I don't really know how to give the message that I'm trying to give with her body movements, but I was really uncomfortable thanks to their performance, because it was just three characters in one location. So you really need to sell that message, and I think Heretic really sold it for me, because I was feeling everything that the characters were feeling, and I was like, if I'm in that situation, maybe I will behave this way. I will be as uncomfortable. I will be as creeped out. I will be feeling so like uncomfortable and claustrophobic. So huge props for the director for communicating so well with the actress, and for the actress for communicating so well with us. And what can I say about the main guy, the villain? This guy, I mean, it's Hugh Grant, like that guy has been in the industry for decades, so it was a pleasure to see him in this film, let me tell you, because yeah, it was really good. And the way that he was giving the monologues, as we said before, it was incredible. The way that he knew how to combine comedy with horror was also incredible, because he's a comedy guy, he's a rom-com, and I think he brought that into this film, so huge props for that. Also, I love that he was not the creepy, sinister guy that were usually shown in horror, for example, as in X or something. This guy was just normal. This guy was just someone that you could meet on the street. This guy could be your uncle, your grandpa, your brother, your dad. So yeah, that was really good for me, and I really like that he felt normal, he felt human, although he was very sinister. And I bought everything that he was saying. I believe that this guy thought that way about religion. I believe this guy knew like all of this philosophy, and I also believe that this guy hated women or all of that. So yeah, it's all thanks to the acting, obviously the script, but even though you have a strong script, if you don't have the best acting, your script will not be communicated the way you want it. So I really think, again, the directors and the actors all worked so well together with the script. And yeah, Heretic is a really piece of art. It's a filmmaking art. It's one of my favorites, so I'm really happy that this film exists and that it worked so well. And although this film, I absolutely love it, I also have some negative aspects from this film, but like they're minor, like they're really minor. Like don't expect that I'm gonna talk so much badly about this film. Maybe one of the critiques that I have to give about this film is that there were some times where the movie had like these creepy moments, and out of nowhere we will go to an outside shot, to an outside scene with a character that we didn't really care, and that really took me out of it, you know, because I was really into these characters, into the storyline, and out of nowhere, one shot and one scene with an outside character in the outside world, outside of this house. So I didn't really like that cut out of nowhere because it was not needed. Like I didn't need the third character from church. I think he was not needed at all. It really took me out of it. They could have done it differently. I think that his character was too annoying, too unnecessary, and also because the movie is too creepy, and the movie, like, he will be like, I know what you need, and the movie will have like 10 seconds in silence, and you will feel like, oh my god, is he gonna do something about it? And then it will be like, you need this booklet. Like, that felt too comedic. I didn't really appreciate it. I think that doesn't really belong in this film. That belongs in a horror comedy, not in this. Another critique, and I think this is my last critique of this film, is that there is one specific scene where one of the characters is suffering and all of that, and like something good happens out of that. And I didn't really believe that. Like, I was like, there is no way that character will be okay after what happened to that character. So that really took me out of the storyline. I'm not a doctor, but I don't think that character could have done that after what happened with her. Maybe I will watch one of those reaction videos on YouTube from doctors, from those characters. But yeah, those are the only two things I didn't like about this film, but that's it. Like, maybe upon a rewatch I will not care about those negative aspects, and this movie will be a perfect film for me. But for now, this film is at 4 stars out of 5, 8 out of 10 for me. This movie is doing really well for now by the community, and I really hope the movie keeps getting that. And I also loved, before I leave this video, I love like the blood, the practical effects, all of that worked so well. But overall, I love this movie. It's one of my favorites of the year. It was a really surprising film. I was expecting good things, and I'm glad that I left the cinema feeling good about it. And let's see where this movie is gonna be on my top horror of the year, because in December I will be ranking every single 2024 horror, so stay tuned for that video. Let me know if you have watched Heretic. Would you watch Heretic? I absolutely recommend this film to be watched at the cinemas, because that's the place where you need to watch these kind of films. I really hope that you like this video. I really hope that you like this movie when you watch it, or if you have watched it, I really hope that you liked it. I really hope that you have a nice end of the week. Please stay safe out there. We will talk so soon in many upcoming videos. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.